What did it matter that she may have been a little thin, not as young as she once was, that a girl can have thicker hair? Those are all small details compared to what she really did have, and anyone troubled by those flaws would just have shown that he lacked a sense of better things. No such accusation can be levelled against Clam, and it is only a young, inexperienced girl's viewpoint that makes you believe Clam couldn't have loved Frida. Clam seems to you, and correctly, out of reach, and so you think that Frida couldn't have been close to Clam either. You are wrong. I would trust Frida's word alone for that, even if I didn't have incontrovertible evidence of it. Incredible as it seems to you, and little as you can reconcile it with your ideas of the world and the life of the officials, of distinction and the effect of female beauty. It is true as we're sitting here together and I take your hand between mine. No doubt, that is how Clam and Frida sat side by side too, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. And he came down here of his own free will. Indeed, he hurried down. No one was lying in wait for him in the corridor and neglecting the rest of her work. Clam had to come down of his own accord. And the deficiencies of Frida's clothing that have horrified you so didn't trouble him at all. You just don't want to believe her. And you don't know how you are exposing yourself because it shows your inexperience. Even someone who knew nothing about her relationship with Clam must notice that of its very nature, it left its mark on someone above you and me and all the other people in the village, and that their conversations went beyond the usual sort of joking between guests and waitresses, which seems to be the whole aim of your life. But I am doing you an injustice. You know Frida's advantages very well yourself. You notice her gift for observation, her power of decision, her influence over other people. Only you interpret it all in the wrong way. You think that she uses all that selfishly for her own benefit and with bad intentions, or even as a weapon against you. No, Peppy. Even if she did hold such arrows in her hand, she couldn't shoot them such a short way. And selfish? One might rather say that by sacrificing what she had and what she could expect, she gave us both, you and me, an opportunity to rise higher, but that we have disappointed her and have positively forced her to come back here. I don't know whether that is so, and I'm not quite clear how I am to blame. But when I compare myself with you, something of the kind does appear before me. It is as if we both tried too hard, too noisily, too childishly, and with too little experience to gain something that can easily and be quietly had with. For instance, Frida's calm and Frida's objectivity. But we try to get it by weeping and scratching and tugging, just as a child tugs at the tablecloth but cannot get it, merely sweeps all the beautiful things off the table and puts them out of reach forever. I don't know if that is the case, but I do know for certain that it is more likely than your version of events. I see, said Peppy. You're in love with Frida because she ran away from you. It's not difficult to be in love with her when she's not around. But even if it's as you claim, and even if you're right about everything, including making me look ridiculous, what are you going to do now? Frida has left you. Neither my explanation nor yours gives you any hope of her coming back to you. And even if she did, you'd have to spend the time in between somewhere. It's cold weather, and you have neither work nor a bed. So come to us. You'll like my friends. We'll make you comfortable. You can help us with our work, which really is too hard for girls on their own. We girls won't have to rely entirely on ourselves and feel afraid at night. Do come and join us. My girlfriends know Frida too. We'll tell you stories of her until you're sick and tired of them. Do come. We have pictures of Frida as well. We'll show you those. Frida was even less striking then than now. You'll hardly recognize her, except from her eyes, which had a sly look, even then. Well, will you come? Is that allowed? Yesterday it was a great scandal when I was caught in your corridor. That's because you were caught. But if you are with us, you won't be caught. No one will know about you. Only the three of us. Oh, what fun it will be. My life there already seems to be more bearable than it did a little while ago. Perhaps I'm not losing so very much by having to leave the job here after all. You know, even with the three of us, we weren't bored. You have to sweeten the bitterness of life. It's made bitter for us in our youth, so that our tongues don't get used to luxury. But we three stick together. We live as nice a life as possible. You'll especially like Henriette and Emily too. I've already told them about you. People listen to such tales and marvel, as if nothing could happen outside our room. It's warm, if cramped in there, and we keep close together, even though we have only each other to rely on. We don't get tired of one another. On the contrary, when I think of my girlfriends, I almost feel it's all right to be going back there. Why should I rise higher than them? That was what kept us together, all three of us, having the future barred to us in the same way. And then I broke out and was separated from them. But the fact is, I didn't forget them. And my next concern was how I could do something for them. My own position was still uncertain, though I didn't know just how uncertain. And already I was talking to the landlord about Henriette and Emily. The landlord wasn't entirely inflexible in Henriette's case, but as for Emily, who is much older than the two of us, she's about Frida's age. He could give me no hope there. But just think, they don't want to leave. They know it's a wretched life they lead there, but they've adjusted to it. Good souls. I believe their tears when I said goodbye were mostly grief because I had to leave the room we shared and go out into the cold. In our room, everything outside, it seems to us, cold, and I'd have to go around in those great strange rooms with those great strange people for no purpose but to earn a living. Though I'd done that before when we lived and worked together. They probably won't be surprised to see me coming back, and they'll cry a little and bemoan my fate just to oblige me. But then they'll see you and realize that it was a good thing I left after all. It will make them happy to know that now we have a man to help and protect us. And they'll be positively delighted that it has all to be kept secret. And the secret will bind us even more closely than before. Come and join us. Oh, do please come and join us. There's no obligation on you. You won't be bound to the room forever as we are. When spring comes, if you find somewhere else to stay and you don't like it with us anymore, you can go. Only you'll still have to keep the secret and not give us away, because that would be the end of us at the Castle Inn.